The Memories of a Firefighter. My name is John Keats. I am 75 years old. I was a firefighter for many years. I want to tell you about my life. I have many memories from my work. Some are happy and full of joy. Some are sad and heavy on my heart. I remember them all very clearly. They are part of who I am today. When I was a young man, I had a big dream. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to help people and save lives. I trained hard every single day. I ran, climbed, and lifted heavy things. It was not easy, but I did not give up. I wanted to be strong and ready for anything. My heart was full of hope. My first day at the fire station was exciting. Everything was new and big to me. I met many people who became my friends. Miller was the captain of the team. He was tall, strong, and very serious. Alex was the funny one. He made jokes and laughed a lot. They all welcomed me with open arms. I learned many things in the first week. Miller showed me how to use the fire hose. Alex taught me how to stay calm in danger. We practiced every morning in the big yard. We climbed ladders and carried people. We worked until we were tired and sweaty, but we were happy to learn and grow. One hot afternoon, the alarm rang loud. My heart jumped in my chest. Miller shouted, "Get ready, everyone!" We ran to the big red truck. The siren screamed as we drove through the streets. I held my helmet tight on my head. I felt both fear and excitement inside me. Fire was at a small house. Smoke covered the sky like a gray blanket. Flames came out of the windows. People stood outside, crying and shouting. Miller told us to move fast. We grabbed our hoses and ran into the smoke. My hands shook, but I did not stop. Inside the house it was dark and hot. I could not see much. The smoke burned my eyes. I heard a small voice calling for help. I followed the voice through the thick smoke. I found a little boy under a table. He was scared and crying. I picked him up and ran outside. When we came out, the people cheered. The boy's mother hugged him and cried. I felt proud and happy. That day, I knew I had chosen the right path. Being a firefighter was hard and scary, but it was also beautiful. I knew I would never leave this job. As the months passed, I grew stronger. I learned more with each call. Fires, car crashes, and rescues became part of my life. Every day was different and full of surprises. I worked with Miller, Alex, and others. We became like a big family. We trusted each other with our lives. One cold winter night, the alarm rang again. We rushed to a big building in the city. Smoke filled the air as we arrived. The building was old and weak. Flames climbed up the walls fast. Miller told me to check the top floor. I nodded and ran inside with Alex. We climbed the dark stairs 2 at a time. Smoke made it hard to breathe. The heat was strong and heavy. On the top floor, we heard a dog barking. We searched the rooms quickly. In a corner, we found a small dog trapped behind a chair. He was shaking and scared. Alex lifted the chair while I grabbed the dog. He was light and warm in my arms. I wrapped him in my jacket. We ran back down the stairs fast. Pieces of the ceiling started to fall. My heart pounded hard, but we kept running. We made it outside just in time. The dog's owner was waiting outside, crying. When she saw her dog, she screamed with joy. She hugged me tightly and thanked me again and again. I smiled and said it was my job. That night, I felt something warm in my heart. Saving a life, even a small one, was a great feeling. Some nights were not easy. Sometimes we could not save everyone. Those nights were the hardest for me. I would sit alone and think about the people we lost. Alex and Miller would sit with me in silence. They understood the pain without speaking. We were brothers in heart. Even on the hard days, I never wanted to quit. I remembered why I started. I remembered the boy under the table. I remembered the small dog in my arms. Every life mattered. Every small act of bravery mattered. That thought gave me strength to keep going. One day, a new firefighter joined our team. His name was James. He was young and full of energy. I saw myself in him. I decided to teach him everything I knew. I wanted him to be strong and ready. I wanted him to feel proud like I did. A new chapter had begun. James was excited on his first day. He wore his new uniform with pride. His helmet was a little too big and his boots made loud sounds on the floor. We all smiled when we saw him. He reminded us of ourselves when we were young. I walked up to James and shook his hand. "Welcome to the team," I said with a big smile on my face. In the first few weeks, James worked very hard. He asked many questions and listened carefully to the answers. He practiced every move again and again. Miller showed him how to use the big ladders. Alex taught him how to stay calm during a rescue. I stayed close to him and gave him advice whenever he needed it. He was learning fast, and we were proud. One rainy evening, we got a call about a car accident. It was James's first real emergency. He looked nervous, but ready. We jumped into the truck and sped through the wet streets. Rain hit the windshield hard. The roads were slippery and dark. I sat next to James and told him, "Stay calm and focus." He nodded and held his helmet tight. When we arrived, we saw two cars crashed into a tree. A woman was trapped inside one of them. The metal around her was twisted and sharp. James's eyes grew wide with fear, but he moved quickly. Miller gave orders and we worked as a team. I watched James pull tools from the truck. His hands shook a little, but he stayed strong and steady. Together, we cut the door open. The woman was hurt, but still breathing. James and I carefully pulled her out and placed her on a stretcher. The rain kept falling, but we worked without stopping. The woman held James's hand and said, "Thank you." I saw tears in James's eyes, but he smiled bravely. That night, he took his first big step as a firefighter. After the rescue, we sat inside the truck, tired and wet. James looked at me and said, "I was so scared." I laughed softly and said, "We all are, but we still do it." Fear never really goes away. It lives inside us, but it does not control us. James nodded slowly, understanding a truth that every firefighter learns in time. Life at the fire station was busy. Every day brought something new. Fires, floods, accidents, and sometimes even helping a cat stuck in a tree. We were ready for anything. We trained hard every morning and laughed hard every night. The fire station felt more like home than any other place. We were not just co-workers. We were a family. One sunny afternoon, we decided to have a small party. We cooked food outside and played music. James danced and sang loudly. Alex told funny stories that made everyone laugh. Even Miller, who was always serious, smiled, and joined the fun. It was a good day, a day full of light and happiness. We needed days like that to keep our hearts strong. Sometimes I sat alone and thought about my journey. I remembered my first day at the station, full of fear and dreams. I thought about the people I had saved and the ones I could not save. Each memory was heavy but beautiful. They shaped me into the man I had become. Firefighting was not just a job for me, it was my life and my soul. As the sun set behind the hills, I looked at my team and smiled. James, Alex, Miller, and all the others, they were not just friends, they were my brothers. We shared laughter, tears, fear, and hope. We carried each other through the worst days and the best. I knew that no matter what happened, we would always stand together. One cold morning, we got a call about a fire in a tall apartment building. Thick smoke covered the sky like a gray cloud. We rushed to the truck and drove fast. When we arrived, people were standing outside, coughing and crying. Flames poured from the windows. Miller gave orders quickly. "John, James, go inside and check for anyone left," he shouted. James and I pulled on our masks and ran inside. The smoke was heavy and dark. It wrapped around us like a thick blanket. We could barely see anything. The heat was strong against our skin. We moved carefully, checking every room. We called out, "Is anyone here?" But the building was silent except for the crackling of fire. On the third floor, we heard a noise. It was soft, like a cry. James pointed to a door. I kicked it open, and we found an old man lying on the floor. He was coughing and trying to stand up. James ran to him and helped lift him. The old man was weak and scared. We had to move fast before the flames reached us. Carrying the old man, we made our way back. Pieces of the ceiling started to fall. The stairs were filled with smoke and fire. My heart beat fast in my chest. I led the way, pushing through the smoke. James followed close behind me, holding the man tightly. Every step felt heavy, but we did not stop. When we got outside, the crowd cheered loudly. Medics took the old man and rushed him to the hospital. James sat down on the sidewalk, breathing hard. His face was black with smoke, but his eyes were bright. I sat beside him and put my hand on his shoulder. "You did good," I said. He smiled, tired, but proud. That day I realized how much James had grown. He was not a new boy anymore. He was a true firefighter, brave and strong. I felt a deep pride in my heart. Watching him reminded me why I loved this job. It was not just about fighting fires. It was about saving lives, giving hope, and standing together when everything else fell apart. After the fire, we returned to the station. We cleaned our gear and took hot showers. We sat around the table, drinking coffee and sharing stories. Miller smiled and said, "Good work today, everyone." Alex joked about James's dirty face, and we all laughed. Moments like these were precious. They were small lights in a world that was sometimes very dark. Later that night, I sat outside and looked up at the stars. The air was cold and fresh. I thought about the old man we saved. I thought about James's brave heart. I knew that life as a firefighter was not easy. It was full of danger and loss. But it was also full of love, courage, and deep friendships that could never be broken. Weeks passed, and winter grew colder. Snow covered the city like a soft white blanket. Our work did not slow down. Fires, accidents, and rescues kept coming. Every day was a new test. Some days were bright and easy. Other days were hard and full of pain. But no matter what, we faced it together side by side. Our bond grew stronger with each call we answered. One evening, a call came from a small house at the edge of the city. Flames were already high when we arrived. A woman stood outside, screaming, "My baby is inside!" Without thinking, I ran toward the burning house. The heat was strong and fierce, pushing against my body. I covered my face and pushed through the door. Every second mattered. Every breath burned my lungs. Inside, smoke filled every room. I dropped to the floor and crawled. I called out, but no answer came. Then I heard it, a soft cry coming from the kitchen. I moved fast, faster than I ever had before. In the corner under a table, I found a small child. His face was dirty, and he cried loudly. My heart ached, but I stayed strong. I grabbed the child and wrapped him in my jacket. Holding him close to my chest, I turned back. The fire had spread even more. It blocked the door I came through. My mind raced. I looked for another way. In the back, there was a small window. I ran to it, kicked it open, and climbed out with the child in my arms. Cold air hit my face like a gift from heaven. The mother ran to us, tears streaming down her face. She hugged her child and hugged me too. I stood there, breathing hard, feeling the heat of the fire behind me and the warmth of love in front of me. James and Miller rushed over to help. We watched as the house burned, but inside my heart I knew we had saved the most important thing: a life. Back at the station, everyone patted my back and smiled. James looked at me with wide eyes. "You were amazing," he said. I laughed and shook my head. I was scared, I admitted, and it was true. Fear was always there, hiding behind every brave step. But courage was stronger. Courage was moving forward even when fear screamed loudly. That night, I sat in my small room at the station. I thought about all the lives we had touched. I thought about the baby I pulled from the fire. I felt grateful to be part of something bigger than myself. Firefighting was not about being fearless. It was about being strong enough to act even when fear tried to stop you. It was about love, honor, and sacrifice. Sometimes, when the world slept quietly under a blanket of snow, I would stand by the window and watch the stars. I would think about my first day, about James's journey, about every small moment that made this life special. Every fire we fought, every person we helped, every tear we wiped away, it all mattered. It all had a place in my heart forever. Spring came with soft winds and bright flowers. The streets were busy again, full of people smiling and walking. At the fire station, life stayed busy too. Fires still happened, but the days felt lighter. There was more hope in the air. We worked hard, but we also laughed more. The cold, dark winter was finally over. One morning, the chief gathered us all outside. James stood in front of everyone. His face was serious but proud. The chief gave him a medal for bravery. We all clapped and cheered loudly. James had grown so much in 1 year. I felt proud, like watching a brother become a strong man. He deserved every bit of it. After the ceremony, we sat on the grass behind the station. Miller told funny stories about old missions. Alex brought lemonade for everyone. James asked me quietly, "Will you ever leave this life?" I smiled and shook my head. "This is where I belong," I said. Being a firefighter was more than a job. It was a part of who I was. That evening, the sky turned gold and orange. We sat outside and watched the sun go down. I thought about all the days we had shared, every call, every rescue, every late night. They were not just memories. They were pieces of my heart. I knew that I would carry them forever, even when the fires were long behind me. One night, long after the others had gone to bed, I stayed outside. The stars above were clear and sharp. I sat beside the fire truck, feeling the cool air on my face. I thought about all the people we had helped, some we saved, some we lost, but each one had left a mark on my soul like small lights in the dark. I knew one day my hands would grow slow and my steps would be heavy. I would have to leave the fire station behind, but the lessons would stay. Courage, hope, brotherhood. They would live inside me. They were stronger than fire, stronger than fear. They were the real gifts of this life I chose. Before going inside, I touched the truck gently. I whispered, "Thank you," like an old friend saying goodbye. Thank you for the journeys, the fights, and the lessons. Thank you for showing me what it means to give everything without asking for anything back. My heart was full of peace as I walked away, and even now, every time I see a fire truck pass by, I smile. I remember the long nights, the bright mornings, the hands I held, and the lives we saved. My story will never end because it lives in every life I touched, in every fire we fought, in every brave step we took together. I hope this session was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories. Take care, everyone.